The artist's name is Steven Wilson Jr., by the way. I don't think we even gave him the acknowledgement.
Yeah, we didn't even freaking acknowledge. But yeah,
So just wanted to get his name out there because I think he's excellent. What's up, everybody?
My name is Anthony Irvin.
You beat yourself?
Yeah, I beat myself.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm Jim Green.
Don't even need a hit of whooping traffic light.
Okay, good.
Welcome to
One Set.
What's up, everybody? How we doing? Welcome back to another episode of the One Set podcast. I'm Jim Green, along with my co-host, my best friend, Anthony Irvin. Anthony, what is going on, buddy?
Yo, what's going on, man? Welcome back, everybody. I just want to let you guys know, if you're here for the first time, welcome. You guys can catch us every Friday at 9 a.m. right here on YouTube, Spotify, and I believe Apple Podcast. Make sure you guys are following us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and right here on YouTube. Make sure you're hitting that notification bell, all at the handle of One Set Pod. We do have a Gmail. Hit us up over on our Gmail for conversations. And Jim, let everybody know where they can hit us up outside of our episodes as well.
That will be on the Facebook, back in the day.
Duh.
The Facebook. On Facebook, the group is called One Set Fam. Again, that's the number One Set Fam. That is where we have all of our back and forth interactions with the fan base, new and old. Anth, we have a new artist that we just learned about. Just popping up on my YouTube homepage after following YMH for the last, I don't know how long we've been following YMH, 5 years.
Couple years. Yeah.
I think we got into them during the pandemic,
Definitely
right at the beginning.
And
I think Tom and Bert were into Two Bears 33 episodes about when we first started.
I think so. Yeah, it was right around the in between the 30th and 35th episode.
Yeah, and I think we found their audio first, and we were listening, and then it was
on Spotify,
and then it was oh,
and then you found on YouTube they have a video. We're dude, this is way easier.
Yeah. It's so funny you say that because let me backtrack and just try to stay on task here for a second, and then I'll jump back to that. My brain is all over the place. I'm we hopped on. I was like, how early can we get started today? You were pretty early. I was 8 a.m. good, and you're yep. It is now 10:15, so we caught up for a good couple hours here. I had my coffee, and then my brain just started going everywhere, and it was great. I'm glad that we were able to catch up a little bit.
Yeah, I had a busy week of work over the last it was just coming out of my 3-day work week, so I had a busy couple days. So I barely even talked to anybody other than my family and wife and kids and stuff. But
because your wife and kids aren't your family.
Yeah, but it was just good to kind of be able to catch up in the morning. And like you said, you had sent me this stuff from a YouTube, and I was telling you this guy sounds good. He's almost like a country folk type artist. He has that country type vocal with a folky acoustic type of vibe, and
yeah,
I was digging it. And then you sent me his background of how he started getting into his music career, and I just latched on to that. And it was very inspiring. And we were listening to him before we started hitting the record button, and you told me to listen to his song Father Son, and I instantly was telling you that, dude, this sounds like a Aaron Lewis song.
And I was that's right up your alley, dude. I know how much you love.
So me and Aaron's old stripped down acoustic stuff, I'm all about that. So that just hit me with the vibe, and within seconds I'm I gotta get my guitar. I gotta learn this. And it took, and you were just watching me kind of start tuning up the guitar, getting this thing in, and I got it to the point where I figured out most of it, but it wasn't down perfect. And I actually, this question, I figured let's start the episode off of like figuring this, because we always like to try to uh, link between my music and your dance
Mhm.
life. Try to find that middle ground of how we both think, but we're thinking in different terms. Of like, I'm thinking musically, you're thinking dance, but we always find the middle ground. So this is something cool that we can discuss in this episode. So my question to you was, how I couldn't put down that guitar until I found out how to play that intro. It wasn't perfect, but I could at least put it down to the point where I knew where I was, and I can always go back to it later. Is that something when you're developing like a new, not even just a routine, but you're maybe even trying to learn something from somebody else, and you're just having trouble finding the dynamic, or finding like, okay, how is he moving like that, or how is he getting to that position, and you're focusing on getting that, and then you get to the point where like, okay, cool, it's not perfect, but I know where he was, now I can let it go. Like, do you have those type of things as well?
So taking it back like 18 years, um, go back to 2007. That sounds right. 2007, 2008. I was um, trying to study up on some like beginner level b-boy breakdance type steps.
Mm-hmm.
YouTube was like just kind of coming into its own, like in its early stages.
Yeah.
So like YouTube tutorials were definitely starting to become available back in '07. So I was like,
Which it seems about right, because I think we had an email, or at least I saw an email like last week saying that YouTube was celebrating like 20 years.
yeah. So
So that's probably around this, 2006, 2007, that YouTube was just
yeah,
cracking
I
out. So
remember after we graduated in 2005, like a few months after I hung out with and like a friend of ours that also graduated with us, and he had an iPhone, which was like just like the first
yeah, it was like what,
iPhone.
iPhone 2 or
Yeah, like
3, something at
around
that
that
point.
time was when it had first come out. So
Mm-hmm.
like the idea of a full blown touchscreen, it had the home button at the time, but
Yeah.
he took out his phone and he pulled up this video on YouTube and was showing it to me, and I was like, he's got YouTube right there on his phone. Like that's wild stuff. We're going
Mm-hmm.
back 20 years, right? How
Right.
technology has advanced, but I think
Mm-hmm.
YouTube was first coming into its own in '05. So fast forward 2 years and like a bunch of information just started getting published, right? So I wanted to
Mm-hmm.
learn some just basic floor work stuff. I say basic, I'm talking like compared to like your big power moves, like your head spins. Like everybody knows, okay, spinning on your head is like the big, like to do,
Right.
right? One of them. So I was just learning some basic stuff to work me up to that point. And windmills are like the beginner entry level power move type stuff, because you're getting your your basic b-boy moves are either your freezes where you're hitting these balance points upside down and just holding, obviously some very
Yeah.
basic ones that I was getting good with, and then there's pretty advanced freezes that just require a ton of strength and balance and experience and practice, right? Just like anything else.
Mm-hmm.
um so windmills are are like your entry level rotation power move on the floor, that I was like, I really want to learn windmills and how to get good with them, just to be able
Yeah.
to say, okay, I can break a little bit, right?
Right.
So that was I'd spent a good year just tackling them and tackling them and tackling them. At this point, my family had just opened the studio, so I had a free reign of like key go in whenever to practice, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I would drill and I would drill and I would drill for an hour and a half, and I'd get to a point where I'm like, okay, that feels a little bit better than my last practice session. Tomorrow's
Mm-hmm.
another day. Tomorrow's a new day. It's not like
Yep.
for that specific move, I knew it was going to take weeks, months, and I think
Right.
almost a year of drilling, and I'm not going to say that I practiced every day, but I certainly practiced every 2 to 3 days. I would go in and spend
Right, right.
a good amount of time on it. On the days in between, um, I would 5 minutes, just try a couple things, try it a few times here and there. But your more basic freezes and rubber bands, or back to backs, um, kip up. So you see on WWE, like Shawn Michaels would lay there flat. Drew McIntyre does the same thing, and
And
then
then
the
kick
legs
up.
swing back, and then they kip up, right?
Yep.
So the rubber
Mm-hmm.
band is you will basically do a kip up, and then you will jump back onto your hands, let the legs fold back, and
Oh yeah,
repeat.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I used to do that one, but
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah,
spent
yeah.
probably 4 to 5 hours one day just trying to build up the courage to jump backwards, grab, like, break the fall on my hands. Biggest thing was, like,
Mm-hmm.
keep your chin tucked in so you're not jumping backwards on your head, right? So,
Right.
but the other thing is, if you don't jump back far enough, you're landing just flat on your back, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
but I had like a gymnastics mat to be able to, if I jump back and landed flat on my back, it's not super knocking the wind out of me. It doesn't hurt that bad. It breaks the
Right.
fall.
You're on a mat instead of just falling flat on
Yeah.
like solid ground.
So I think I spent a good 4 to 5 hours, like I was saying, and I was like, I'm practicing this until I feel good enough to jump back on my hands and hit the kip up. And so the first day I did that, and got myself to do it, I was like, okay, one, like, roll back, hit the kip up, jump back onto my hands, and then hit just one. I was like, okay, I was able to do it 3 times. I was like, I think I'm good. I'm done jumping backwards. My back
Mm-hmm.
hurts. um, and then the next day, I was at it again, and I was like, I gotta find that sweet spot for where to break the fall with my hands jumping backwards, and not push
Mm-hmm.
too hard. You push too hard, you're landing all the way on your neck, and your feet are touching the floor behind you. So you got to be able to
Yeah.
navigate, like, just how hard to push off your feet, just how hard to snap back with like your core. I'm sure there's a name for it. I don't know the muscles in your lower back what they're called, but it is your core in your back. Um, there's when I'm teaching back handsprings, there's muscles to target back there for snapping in your lower back to get your hands back to the floor in a timely fashion.
Mm-hmm.
So just navigating the right amount of power to get me to where I need to land to be able to execute the leg swing for the repeat kip up, right? So I think the
Right.
second day, my target was like, okay, I need to roll back, hit the kip up, jump back onto my hands once, land back on my feet, jump back onto my hands again, and back to my feet. So just getting another rep in, and
Yeah, and kind of knowing that feeling of each spot, like knowing how it feels to go back, then having the feeling of the power you need to
Mhm.
go back up. So they're kind of breaking it down, and that's kind of how, like, uh I wasn't there, like, with trying to figure out that, like, trying to get the right tuning first, which
Mhm.
took a minute, and then kind of dissecting each of, like, because there was like the little note that he first hits, and then those little licks in between, and there's just some embellishment notes he's hitting in between those notes. So it's like trying to break down each of those sections, and I've been also sending you a lot of uh little small videos of some other guitar stuff that I've been learning, and it's kind of just like breaking down little sections and parts, and then just once you get each of those sections down, then putting them all together. So it's like, instead of looking at it a whole, you can look at, okay, take this little chunk, learn this little chunk, learn this little chunk of it, and this, and then just like a puzzle piece,
Yep.
connect them all together. And then once you kind of get the time, then it's worried about getting like all the timing down. And that's, the other thing for you. Like, it's one thing learning how to uh, get back on your hands, they get back on your feet. And then once you kind of know those things, then timing it out to, especially if you're doing it to a certain beat, timing it out so when you're in time with
Yeah.
that.
able to just kind of relate that to a project that I am setting for Beat Addicts. My partner and I were setting The Devil Went Down to Georgia, right? So I was
Hmm.
teaching like an 8 count. Um, he is in charge of all of the devil like if you know the song, there's Johnny and there's the devil, right? So
Yep.
he's got the lead on all of the devil sections in the routine, and I've got the lead on all of the Johnny sections in the routine. So I had we're leading into the last chorus, and it's talking about like the devil, I don't know the words like down pat, but the devil knows he been beat. And then Johnny comes in, um and like there's a 2 8 count section, and the first 8 count I kept it like very light and simple: 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, and then it went into and a 1 and 2 and a 3 and 4 and I tried to teach that to
Hmm.
the kids, like those 4 counts that were really intricate, and taught name dropping here. My partner was like, cut that in half and get them good with the first half, and then get them good with the second
Hmm.
half, and then put it together. And I'm like, sometimes I just
Yeah.
try to blah
Hmm.
teach everything all in one clump, instead of like
Uh,
section puzzle piece it together, right? Basically what you're
right.
saying is like trying to understand things in parts and then get them together.
Yeah.
um
Especially if like like because I knew there's certain songs, but also it's like when you don't know how to play them, it's kind of hard to like dissect because you want to just learn them all at once. Sometimes I can just like, okay, I just need a little bit of help, and then I can just puzzle piece everything together because I can kind of like listen to what I'm playing and be like, okay, that's the note there. Or if I need to look at the tablature, then just be like, okay, where's that note? It's like, okay, it's at 12. Okay, 12 there. But sometimes I can, get maybe a couple of those and I can learn the rest of the way. But then there's times where if it's like a lot going on, you have to look and be like, okay, where's that going? Where's this going? Section, 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 bring it all together. Then it's more like, okay, once you get it all down and where it goes, then when you're playing it to the actual tune, sometimes it's faster than what you're playing. Then you, especially the kill switch engage stuff I was showing you for what you're going to be playing, when I was trying to learn that lick, I had to break that little section down into like 4 different parts and then put it all together. And then I had to speed myself up to be able to play it with the tune because I was playing it to my speed of being able to get all those down the neck. And then when I turned on the song, it was like really, really fast. I'm like, okay, now I definitely got to like, you know, playing the motion of the notes, but also like we were talking in previous episodes, it's one if you're playing the notes, but if you're not putting any feel or strength behind it, you're just going through the motion. Now it's like putting that attitude into the string to be able to mimic what the guy's playing. So now I had to find how he was hitting the strings, how he was attacking the note to really like kind of get to where it was. Still not 100% because everybody's going to have a different feel, but you know, uh, once I got it down, then I was like, all right, I finally got it. And, because on tablature, it looks way simpler than how it's played. But it was like more of like a, you know, clap on the back to once you
yeah,
finally
well,
got
so
it.
the artist name is Stephen Wilson Jr., by the way. I don't think we even like gave him the acknowledgement.
Yeah, we didn't even freaking acknowledge,
um
but yeah.
so just wanted to get his name out there because I think he's excellent. Love his voice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Stephen Wilson
And
Jr.
it was really cool because you and I have talked before about wanting to be able to experience each other in like the creative element, right? And
Yeah.
so it was really cool. I sent you the song. I was like, I gotta run to the bathroom and then we'll start recording. I come back and you're like, I had to grab my guitar. Sorry.
Yeah, and it's one of those things like what you just said again, what you just said about we want to try to be in each other's creative
Headspace. Yep.
like spaces, but sometimes like you always don't want to have too many heads around you when you're creating because you don't want to always try to explain it. You just want to get it done and do it. Then you can always go back and be like, okay, that's in my head, that's where I was thinking,
Yep.
and do all this. So we are thinking of ways that we can do that, but it would be cool to be able to just be in that space to be like, okay, he's in a mode, just let him go. And when I was playing that stuff, you know, I wouldn't say it was like a full creative moment. It was more just me trying to, challenge myself to be like, okay, I heard it.
Yeah,
I
it
want
was
to see
cool
if
to
I can
watch
play it.
you figure
But
it out. Like you're just like how you
uh
listen
huh.
back and how you're adjusting the tuning to make it make sense with how it actually sounds. So that
hmm
was
And I like I said, I wish you were able to be with me on my little recording session that I was doing for one of my songs yesterday, because that was a definite like, okay, light switch came on. I'm in my space, not thinking about
mhm.
anything else. I started recording this, recording that. Oh, what else can I do? Let me put this, and then I put down my other guitar, picked up my other one, started doing electric stuff, doing this and that, and just going after idea after idea. And it's sometimes I never really have that amount of space to get all my ideas out. Sometimes it's I only have it at night and I only have a couple hours to work with. So sometimes I'm letting a song go when I still want to be in a creative mode. So sometimes I don't finish the idea and it's kind of hard to get back into that creative spot
Yeah, well,
at another time.
your flex time to be able to do all that is at night. So it's like, okay, if I'm in a really good creative space, I am now sacrificing sleep, which is going to take away from my quality of life the next day.
Yeah.
Right?
And now I just with realizing yesterday, I'm like, well, I mean, there's always so much I want to do on these days off that I have. But now I'm thinking, now that I am in a recording state and I have built up a lot of my recording software, I do have the notion that if I get into a creative state, I can come down here and start, recording stuff, because there is a lot of stuff that I still want to record, and there is maybe two or three songs that are, just about ready for vocals or about ready for mixing. So it's a matter of me finishing the songs and getting ready for mixing so I can release them. And it's like now that you're in that spot, it's like, okay, I want to get all this stuff done, but there's only so much time that you can have. But now I don't have to necessarily always think, oh, I got to do it at night. Now I have these times during the mornings or in the late afternoon before everybody gets home. I can spend a couple hours, and if I am in a creative state, I don't have to be like stricken by time. If I have like 3 or 4 hours in the morning, I can take that whole morning and just get everything done, and then get everything done in the afternoon, everything else that I need to do. So I'm feeling I'm definitely going to take more advantage of the time when I need to be down here and record if I have to. So just yesterday was just a fun time to just be able to, okay, I have nothing else to really distract me, being here, get this stuff done. And I left, you know, down here, like happy that I got all that done. And then I went back later last night to put down some piano stuff, and then I felt even more that I got so much done on that song, and I didn't have to sacrifice sleep. I didn't have to sacrifice, being up really, really late to get this stuff done, because it was the only time
Well,
that I
and
had.
at the end of the day,
So,
you're like your body and your mind are winding down. So like your creative space is not. I
hmm
know, like for me, I used to choreograph into the wee hours of the night because I knew most of my people and like my loved ones, my close friends, are all sleeping. So I know that this, like distraction wise, I could be much better focused, right? Um,
yeah,
but I would do that into the wee hours of the night. I get to 3, 4 a.m. and be like, I barely got shit done. Like it, and again, that's just
hmm
like it's the end of the day, and your mind is not processing with clear, like with super clarity, right? So you having that
yeah,
time based off of your current work schedule setup, it's fantastic. And I know also you're coming off of Sunday. You had like an awesome recording session with your client, so you're just heavily inspired and
yeah,
motivated right now to get into that space for yourself, even, which is like just tremendous. That
yeah.
like for me, knowing that you have like some time to be able to put into your music, which is your passion, it's just great to see, man. I'm super stoked for it.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to like hopefully in these next couple weeks to get started with you to teach me this dance because I know that'll be on my aspect to know. And I was thinking the other day, I'm like, well, it's gonna be hard to do that at home here because I don't have like a big mirror like you do at your house for in your basement. So I'm thinking either I'll have to find a way if I can't do things here, I would have to be either going to like either your house or one of your
Yep.
studios to actually like, you know,
Yeah, and
practice a lot of that
the
stuff. But once I get into it, I'll definitely be like really inspired to like get it done and because I know for the same fact that like I'll want to be like okay I'm going through all these motions, but once I get these things down, then it's like how you said now putting in attitude and how to attack certain moves and saving your energy and doing all this. So it'll be cool once I get everything down, then putting like the icing on the cake to
that
really
is an
make everything
interesting
look good.
note that I didn't really take into account when we built this challenge, right? Is like for
Yeah.
me, like I'm learning to play guitar once again. And just got to give you a shout out on here for cleaning up both my guitars. They look
Oh,
they
you're
look
welcome.
brand new,
They
basically.
look,
Like I'm just super
yeah.
stoked. My dad had surgery last week, so I didn't get into like really actually practicing. But even like you went and picked up your guitar, and I was like, oh, let me get my. But then I wanted to play, and then I was like, yeah, but if I'm playing, then he can't hear what he's doing on his end. So I was like, I'm just gonna hold this right here. um, but you are at a slight disadvantage. I will say I don't have any mirrors in my current living situation, but I do use my like my living room TV off to catch my reflection. So if you can do that in your living room, like if you
Gotcha.
can catch yourself like even with the screen off just a little bit, that should help you a pinch. Yep.
I can do it in the den because if I turn the TV off, you'll have the morning sun or anything kind of
Yeah,
reflecting off you, so
it's
I
not going to be
can use
a perfect
that.
reflection like a mirror, but you'll be able to still see like okay, my arm is over here.
Hmm.
The lines are like when you do the clap and you do the shoulders up and down look, which I know we talked about a couple episodes ago. Um,
Yeah.
I am going to get you into one of my studios because I mean I have keys to all of them, and my directors have like I just let them know, hey, I'm going in to do this thing. They're not going to be like, yeah, no, sorry. Um, so
Right.
I'm going to get you in like hopefully in the next couple weeks, and maybe we can try to shoot for
Hmm.
next week even because I'd like to get your body started on this coordination stuff. Um, and then once I
Yeah.
get
Yeah.
you a good amount taught that you can practice, I do have a batch of new competition routines coming up. Even if I just let you in on like 15 minutes, maybe a half hour of like, okay, if I'm choreographing this, and you can see like how my thought process and decision making goes into that.
Yeah. I just want to I just want to sit back and just like don't even think that I'm there. I just want to see you like from like a beginning standpoint of like okay, listening to this,
So if
this
I
is how I
teach
want to
you
start
that
this out.
thriller stuff first, and I'm like, okay, you have a good amount to work on. I'm gonna choreograph this, and like even as you're just practicing a little bit, you can just take note into like how my body is thinking about like certain lines and like just decision making from a creative
Hmm.
like a choreographer standpoint. I think that'll be the best way
Yeah.
for you to see. And again, I probably won't get a lot accomplished just because it's not an authentic creative space if I'm not just in my own headspace alone, right? But I
Yeah.
say that, and Mike will tell you, our buddy Mike, will tell you the one time that we got together to collaborate for a Beat Addict project, and he was like, "Dude, I got to use the restroom. I'll be back in a bit." He came back. He came back 20 minutes later. He wasn't taking a long pee. um, he came back in 20 minutes. I was like, "All right, I got these 30 seconds done." He's like, "You got 30 seconds done?" Which, like, for some people choreographing, they can just. I've seen. There was this one choreographer, Laura Edwards. She, her husband, her at the time fiance. We were breaking down an event, and she got up to do like a faculty performance, and she did like a 45-second bit, and I was like, she just absolutely crushed that. And he's like, yeah, she literally choreographed that in 3 minutes. And I was like, what? That's just
Crazy.
like that level of
Crazy.
like just trusting yourself to be like, okay, I hear something and we're gonna do this. Like just no second guessing anything, just trusting yourself and saying, this, I'm gonna make this shit look real good.
And that's how like songwriting is sometimes. Like I envy the people that can just
Just
sit down
crank it
and just
out.
start writing, and
It's
everything
just
they
gold,
write
right?
is awesome. And they just have like the gift of being a good songwriter. Like even a bad idea
Well, they
is a
know how to
good
make
idea.
how to
You
take
know.
literally dirt and make it look like gold, right? Like, and I think the hours in the
Yeah.
for like 10 years of me choreographing comp routines at my studio, staying up late on a Friday night and getting not a lot done. And nowadays it's like I try to just not give myself the opportunity to second guess literally everything. And that's just like
Yeah.
just not trusting myself and thinking that I'm any good and thinking I need to put in a lot of time to create something half decent, right? Um, yep,
Yeah.
yep.
Being
You
perfectionist
get
like
to
myself.
I think about my sister Kim went to UArts, and I think about all of the projects that she had, and I was like, how are you getting all of these done like in a timely fashion? And she was like, I literally don't
Hmm.
have the time to second guess creative decisions. Just something comes in my head, and I I put it I put it into the universe.
Yeah.
And I guess like along the
Hmm.
way with her school and her studies, it's like she'd tell her teachers like her thought process as to her creative decisions, and they'd be like, I like this, I like this sucks. Right. And just fine tuning
Yeah.
her thought process and like, hey, this isn't so great and this is why it doesn't work, so that the next time that she creates, she doesn't her creative decisions don't go that route, you know.
Have you ever wanted to start your podcast but didn't know where to start? The One Set Bros are here to talk to you about Zencaster. Zencaster is the ultimate base podcasting solution and now the all in one podcasting platform, making podcasting easy. They've sure made it easy for us to be able to record our podcast and our episodes every week for you guys. Once you've set up your account, you're simply one click away from recording a high quality podcast with studio quality sound and up to 4K video with your guests. My personal favorite feature is their multi-layer backups, which ensure our recordings are always in the highest quality, even during unstable web connections. And if you thought you needed multiple tools and services for your podcast, Zencaster's all-in-one podcasting platform allows you to create your podcast all in one place and distribute to Spotify, Apple, and other major destinations. Go to zencaster.com/pricing and use our code OneSetPod, and you'll get 30% off your first month of any Zencaster paid plan. I want you to have the same easy experience as we do with all our podcasting and content needs. It's time to share your story. Yeah, because everything can't be great, but having 10 great ideas is better than trying to
Yeah,
find
yeah,
one amazing idea. At least because not all 10 ideas are gonna, like you just explained,
yeah.
not all 10 ideas are gonna be great, but you get more work out of 10 great ideas than wasting time
Trying to build
4 hours
a
trying to
masterpiece. Yeah,
figure out one good piece.
yeah. um
Yeah, because then you learn more from having 10 good ideas than trying to find that one thing that you've been working on, and then even then you might be like,
right.
it's still not that great,
Yeah,
but at least it's an idea.
I really think it was like 6 7 years ago. um I was riding in the car with a colleague of mine, and I was clearly like just so wrapped up in my family studio business, teaching, choreographing. She was like, "So what do you like to do outside of dance?" And I literally just sat there and was like, "I mean, I like WWE." And it
Yeah.
literally put into perspective like my
Like,
thought
no, for real.
process
Like,
around the clock was everything was dance. Everything was dance. And everything was,
hmm
I just want to be a better choreographer and creator, because like I was all I'd already had years of teaching experience. Like I go into a room, I teach a class, I'm educating the kids. Like I gotten into a rhythm with that. That everything that I aspired to be was like be a great artist, right? And I think
Yeah.
what it really came down to was stop staying up late in the wee hours of the night and trying to take away your sleep. Literally go into the space and put on the music and like I will say it was a disservice to the students in the classroom at first because I would take 15, 20 minutes trying to figure out what I wanted to teach them and they're just waiting around for me. At the same time, I was
Yeah.
I cut that number from 20 minutes trying to figure out what I wanted to teach them down to 10, down to 5, right? So now
Mhm.
it's like, and I don't do this every single class, but a lot of them, it's I got to go in and
Yeah.
understand I'm under pressure. So I can't second guess my creativity. I got to create something, teach it to them. And if I don't
Yeah.
like it, I'll modify it, I'll adjust it, I'll make amendments, right? So, you know,
Right.
5 years of doing that, I was able to find a process where I didn't spend hours and hours and hours trying to like get everything right. I'd just create something, I'd present it to them, I'd make the adjustments, and then I would be able to like appreciate life outside of my work. And it just was it allowed me to
Mhm.
be better focused when it did come time to create and say, okay, what's the project I have at hand? And don't second guess myself. And
Mhm.
then not everything was a masterpiece, but I would run into one routine here or there where I'm like, I really feel proud of this one. And I didn't spend a ton of time coming up with it. So I was able to teach the routine and
Right.
then have time after that fine tuning, polishing, and being able to tell the students, like, okay, what I gave you is literally just steps. Now we can focus on your intention and how you are presenting the movement and give it life, right? Where for
Yeah.
the longest time it was spend forever choreographing the routine, teach it to the kids, and then it wasn't as much time to refine everything and make everything look polished, right? So
Yeah.
I don't want to say end rant, but that is just I guess not putting too much time and too much stock into the creativity and saying, hey, I'm just whatever comes to mind. If it stinks, just fix it. Just say, why does it stink? And make it not stink, right? It's like you said, the greats can make
Yeah.
dirt look like gold, right? And it's like if I want to be great, I got to figure out how to make something that looks on paper really boring. How do I make it interesting? And that's us as artists. That's what we
Mhm.
do. I mean,
And that's the thing about like being in the producer chair, that you don't have a lot of time to second guess, especially when you're recording, because
yep.
one,
Well, time
time
is
is
money
money
for
with
you
the
too.
artist, and you're and time is money for the producer as well. But also in the mixing process, they also tell you to try not to second guess yourself either, because your ears are only good for a certain amount of time when you're listening to something before your ears start
And
playing
you've
tricks on you. So when you're trying to process
outplayed it to
things, do
yourself,
it
and
in
then you're
quick
just literally
motions,
second guessing everything.
and then you can listen, take a break, come back to it, and then if you don't like it, or if it still sounds good, then you did something good. But if you maybe not
Mhm.
liked something, you can always tweak it later on. But the thing with learning about different sources, and that's the thing, I'll relate the same thing you were saying, like trying to find the match. I'm always, especially with like learning with recording and stuff, the thing is trying to record, have really good recordings. So that's the definition of like, okay, what does a good recording sound like? You know, when you know what a good recording sounds like, then it's easier on the mixing process, because then you don't have, because when I first started recording, I always thought the mixing process was where you made everything, like the turd,
Polish shit.
look like
Yeah.
a polished thing, you know? Yeah. So, you're polishing a turd. So, but the thing is, if you have good
If you have such
tracks
good
to
shit,
work with in
yeah.
your mixing, it's less it's
Yep.
less shit that you got to polish. You have to you still have to do a little bit of tweaks here and there. But if you already have a good source, it's less that you have to polish it
in post production.
and less work you got to do. Where if you have a very, bad track where you have a lot of
It's so much work
background
after the fact to
noise
clean it up.
and it's not, you have to like copy and edit and everything in the mixing process to just let it fit in the song. So, I and I think the thing that I just realized this week with recording this guy's guitar, like I was telling you off air, I started a technique, and I won't go into too much about it.
The XY thing,
but I started stereo miking it. Yeah, so I started stereo miking his guitar with two condenser mics, putting them in an X formation, so it's able to get a big stereo image of the guitar. And sometimes it's a good process. There's certain times you can use it. I felt this might be a good way to use it in one of his songs. It ended up being a good idea, so that sparked off for yesterday with me recording my stuff. So, there's always things to learn as me being a producer in this aspect. I like giving my creative ideas to people, but I also got to remember that this is their body of work too. So sometimes they may not always want criticism. They just want to be like, hey, this is my idea. I need to get this out, get it down there. And I'm like, cool. I I'm okay with just, you tell me where you need to punch in, what we need to record, punch in, punch out. Or if because I'm also thinking, how can I make this song, if not better, but how can I enhance the song? So I'll be like, hey, maybe we try to record this little aspect here, and this can enhance this area too. Sometimes, they're like, all right, let's try it, or like, we can always try it later. So it's always, I think this is also giving me time without being able to play shows right now. It's still giving me
it's
my
filling your
music
it's
relief
filling your cup, man.
to
It's filling,
still do music.
Yep.
It's filling the cup, filling the void. And I'll tell more people later on, but I did book a show for later in the fall, which I'm looking forward to. I'm trying to start booking a little bit more, not as much as I used to, but I just can't get away from playing live music. And it's just and I'm sure you're the same way. It's like, with, doing a lot of teachings, it's kind of hard when you're not up there doing your own thing. So, but yeah, it's I love the studio aspect of what I'm doing right now. And, the stuff that I'm doing is just, whatever I'm always trying to upgrade now. And just, that it seems like I have a point where I'm getting a lot of people also saying that the stuff that I've recorded since the pandemic, a lot of people are saying like, this sounds really professional. And to me, I'm like, it's better than a demo. I wouldn't say it's like professional, but they're saying it's professional to me. I'm like, all right, I'm in a good aspect. I at least I know I'm doing something right.
Yep.
So again, validation. So at least it gives me to the point where I know at least I have a good, stamp of what I'm doing, and I just keep doing that and keep improving on my techniques.
Awesome, man.
So
want to wrap this one up. I know we talked about keeping this one a little bit shorter. We got a little bit of,
so we can go
we
really long on this stuff.
Yeah, like I said, we always want to try to talk about our similarities with music and dance. I feel like this was really good, especially with like where we just both are right now, like where you are in the producer chair. I am coming up on a new batch of a new competition season. So I have new projects that are literally in the beginning stages of just getting music together. I have assigned routines and dancers. So I'm like, okay, some of these are new dancers I haven't really worked with, and some of them are new pairings that I've never worked with. And I was telling you off air, duos and trios especially are just really, really tough to choreograph because they're the hardest thing to get right on stage, because there are only 2 or 3 people up there, and for the judges to sit there and pick apart like what is off is super easy, right? In a group setting, it's kind of like, there's a lot of bodies, and the judges aren't going to see if somebody slips up, maybe. Um, so yeah, I really appreciated this one. I had a thought, and I didn't want to. Do I want to talk about it on air? I could always just edit it out. Why not? Why not?
Let's do it. If
So
we need to, we can edit it out. But yeah.
so you have me in this challenge,
Mhm.
right? I am embarking on a new career path, which I'm not going to talk about until things are really solidified on
Mhm.
that end. I know you know what
Yeah.
it is, but it's got me really thinking about um, like me just getting older and not dancing nearly as much, and I know that the music is going to live within me, which is why I'm really channeling this guitar playing. This is way down the road, and we'll see how the challenge goes first and how well I do with the guitar. But I am set up and equipped to learn how to
Yeah.
play. I have you as the master to be able to coach me
If
along
I
the
can
way.
get you to learn the basics, and like I said, I know this song is not always a good introduction to be learning how to play, but if I'll definitely after this challenge as well teach you the basic chords that you need to know to learn songs. And
Well,
once you start
and
learning
4 years
songs,
ago, I was learning basic chords. Like
yeah,
I know
and
I
we'll do some
knew.
refreshers as well. Because
Yeah,
that's like the
that'd be great.
basic thing that people just want to play songs. They don't want to they don't want to learn scales. They don't want to learn this. I mean, it's good to learn. It's good to learn songs, but then the next like phase up from that is learning, where those uh
It's understanding.
understanding where those chords come from, learning about the keys of those songs and what chords are in those keys. Then it gets into the music theory of, when they're playing those certain notes, how are those notes coming into those different scales, and then, just bumping up into more advanced stuff. But yeah, if I can refresh you on those beginner chords, give you some basic songs that you can, learn, and, you know, teach it out like how to read a little bit of tablature, you know, I think that'll keep you. And plus, taking it from my aspect of like how I used to play so many shows and now it's kind of scaled down a little bit, you know, it definitely sucks as you like both of us. We cannot not go the rest of our lives without doing our passion. But
Hmm.
I think how I have started doing the studio stuff to kind of fill that, I think you're going to find some, if you can still do your teaching and still find something within dance to fill that, I know you'll definitely find something. And then also it
Yeah,
could be, the music playing with guitar, something to fill that music dance vibe for you while, because now, with my job, I mean, some of that money and the studio money helps to keep my creative flows going, to be able to reinvest that into the studio, reinvest that into my live show, and
sure.
so that continues to fill that. So I think you'll
I
definitely, it's going to be a tough transition, but you'll find the things that'll keep your dance and music, flavors and vibes going. And
yeah,
yeah.
I think for me, I'm thinking beyond the challenge.
Hmm.
This guy Steven Wilson Jr. has me so inspired that I'm like I wish I could sing like that. It's so weird. Like I never really aspired to sing, right? But I'm like, if I'm going to learn to play guitar, what good is learning to play the guitar if I'm not able to sing along with it, right? I do have a teacher colleague of mine that gives voice lessons, and I've been really thinking for a couple months, like I could easily book sessions with him to learn how to sing and get my vocals in a spot where I actually like my
I
voice
think
when I sing.
everybody can sing. It's just you got to find your voice. And
Well, and I'm a firm believer that everybody can dance. It's just finding the confidence within yourself to find rhythm, to
yeah,
feel good about yourself. Like dancing, it's such a weird thing, like, right? Like, because we go through the natural motions of we wake up in the morning, we eat, we go to work, we do whatever hobbies that we enjoy doing, whether that be being active and being out in the world, or sitting on your ass at home watching
Mm-hmm.
TV and movies and shows and whatnot, playing video games,
Right.
what have you. Um, for me, I long term would love you like playing a show, and then one of your sets be the one set, and then you and I could play a set together. Like
I
that
would
would just
love that.
be that would
That would
just
be
be
the
a
like
freaking
how we did at the wedding. Like I joined you for a dance thing. That would be an ultimate thing. I wouldn't care if it was just one song that
yep,
like you come up and we do a duo. That would be a
a
dream. I
freaking
wish would.
dream. It's a dream, dude.
Now
But
that you
at the
said
same
that,
time,
that's gonna one day happen. We're gonna
yeah,
make that happen.
I literally when
I'm
I
stoked that you want that to happen. I'm stoked to do that to make that happen.
I have to have a large aspiration to know, like, hey, I'm not just learning guitar so I can just be like, yeah, I know how to play the guitar. Like,
You're not going to be that
I
campfire guitar player like, oh,
yeah,
here's Kumbaya another time.
yeah, my family's Christmas party, and I'm like, here comes Wonderwall, everybody.
I don't know that one, but here's Wonderwall. Like,
No,
uh,
I like for me, I know getting on stage and dancing myself, like those days are very limited anymore.
mhm.
And in the next 5 to 10 years, they're going to be next to nothing. Like my everything dance related is going to be teaching and choreographing for like the next generation, which I'm like totally good with. But performing would be getting to play.
Yeah,
And I'm like, I would freaking love that. And more than anything, I would love to play with you.
yeah,
Right. Like that would just be like freaking goals.
yeah, man.
Right.
I mean, when it comes to singing, again, like you, I never inspired to actually like sing stuff. But
Hmm.
when I transitioned out of my band life, I had inspired to do acoustic stuff.
Hmm.
And I'm like, all right, well, let me try to write some lyrics to this stuff. And I'm like, all right, I know I'm not the greatest singer, but at least I had this stuff. And I'm like, well, let me try to start performing this stuff. I'm like, wait, I got to go in front of people. Crap. Let me start going to open mics. And that's where I built a lot of my confidence. And even
Hmm.
like the first couple years, my voice was like meh because I hadn't found my voice. And like I knew how to sing, but I didn't know how to sing.
Your
And
voice has improved immensely in the last 10
and
years. I
I
can
think it's
attest to
just
that
you got to
because I
find your
was there.
register, you got to find the songs that work with your register,
Hmm.
and then just kind of, there's certain techniques that you can learn, and it's just being able to feel comfortable in that. Like I know there's certain songs that I know that are better in my range, and then I know there's certain songs where I'm hitting that top level of like I'm just getting out of that range.
Sure.
And again, I don't go into the shows now. Obviously, I'm not a Justin Timberlake type of say. I'm not going to hit those high notes where everybody gives me a standing O. But I know to this point I can hold a tune, and I don't sound like people just want to start throwing vegetables and fruit at me. And I at least know that, and I definitely feel my voice, like you said, has gotten way better and more controlled over the last like 5 or so years.
Yeah, I think once you like really started um like the live looping stuff, which I guess was like what 7, 8 years ago, maybe 6 or 7 years ago. It was
Just
like
yeah, just about 8 years.
right before the pandemic, maybe a year or two.
Yeah,
Um
I'd say about 6 7 years. Yeah,
yeah, but like you starting out on your own was like what 2011, 2012 kind of thing.
yeah,
Like
2012.
and like I was all for you like going solo and doing your own thing.
Hmm.
Definitely a big supporter of that. Your vocals along the way have made much progress, man.
Yeah,
And just your overall stage presence. Like I remember you getting up there at first, like
it was definitely scary.
yeah, and like I knew you were nervous, and I rightfully so. You were up there, and it's all on you, and not just playing guitar. Like there's the guitar, there's the singing, there's the conversating with people in between your songs. Like
Yeah.
you have gotten so comfortable with that, and it's just so fun to see when you do get to play live.
Hmm.
That's why I have come out to see you when I could all the years that I have, right?
Yeah.
So end game goal, at least one song on your end. I'm like, I would love to do one set live and us play together. Like that would be like we can
Yeah,
even
man.
do what like just the podcast like this, but with an audience
Yeah.
and playing. And
I'm so down.
maybe I will get up and do a couple dancey dance things.
Yeah.
That would be like, let's aspire to do big things and let's figure out how we can get there.
Like how we said, I think like within the last year of one of our episodes, it would be cool to put on like a one set festival of some type of thing for us, like in our
Like a
community,
variety show almost.
like a
Yeah.
variety show or some like sponsored by us, and like having certain that would be a fun thing to down the line have something, and then we
Get
be
some-
a part of it and doing something that would be awesome.
That would be clutch, dude. That
Yeah.
would be so brilliant. On that note,
Yeah.
let's wrap up.
We can wrap
just,
up here.
I wanted to drop that at the end. I was like, do I say it or do I not say it? That was fun. I'm glad that we did. And I didn't want you to be like, yeah, that might be kind of cool. For you to say that would be a dream.
Nah, I'm
That's-
130,000%, dude. That would be awesome. Because
So,
we've already
while
had
I'm-
like time where I danced with you. Now down the line, you got to be on stage with me.
Yeah.
That would be sick.
We're going to make it happen.
Yeah.
And let's wrap them up. Let's get the outros going.
Yeah. Guys, thank you all for being here. Make sure you guys are following us at One Set Pod on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, right here on YouTube. Hit that notification bell to make sure you get our uploads every Friday at 9 a.m. And Jim, once again and lastly, let everybody know where they can catch us outside of our episodes.
That is the Facebook group.
The
The Facebook. Facebook group, the number one set pod. The number one set fam. That's one set fam on Facebook. You can find us, and that is where we love to hang out with our one set community, our fans, our fam. That's where we're at. Anth, I love you, brother. Great
Love you too,
episode. Let's get to playing. Let's get to dancing. We've got like what, 15, a little more than 15 weeks. So we've got,
Let's get it in.
3.5 months until this challenge is about to come to fruition. Episode
Yeah.
200 is coming in October. Let's get to work, man.
Yeah, man. Thank you all for being here. We'll see you on the next one. This has been One Set.
All the love.
Make sure you guys are following us on Facebook, Instagram. Let me do that again.